good to have you with us on the 8 p.m. edition of the Urban Debate. We begin with the big Mumbai drug bust case, the one that involves Shah Rukh Khan's son, Aryan Khan. The special court in Mumbai reserved its order, its judgment on the bail plea filed by Aryan Khan, Arbaz Merchant and Munmun Dhamecha. All of them arrested by the Narcotics Control Bureau in connection with the cruise ship drug case on October 3. So that means since October 3, first Aryan was in judicial custody and then he is now in jail. And that now will continue till 20th of October at least, until the verdict on his bail plea is announced, which then we will know if he'll be in jail for longer or if we can finally come out of the jail. Now, you know us viewers, you know how we treat these stories. We are not interested in the private life, in voyeuristic journalism of what Aryan Khan has been up to. We are not even interested in having a debate about whether this is due to his celebrity status, if he is being targeted because he's Shah Rukh Khan's son or not. We are going to talk to you about the charges against him, the punishment he may face for those charges, and whether the fact that on a bail plea, not just for hearing purposes, simply for a judgment to be pronounced at a sessions court level, whether this adjournment is fair or if it can be called a travesty of justice, because many have raised that question. Before we get into that, and I go across to our panelists, let's first tell you what's really been happening, the arguments that have been made by both sides. The NCB says Aryan Khan is a regular consumer or a regular drug abuser or a drug user, and that although no recovery was made from Aryan, he was in conscious possession of the contraband. The NCB claims that Aryan is a regular consumer of contraband since the last few years. Now, a lot of their case is actually built on WhatsApp chats that they have access that they claim reveal specific reference to bulk quantity of contraband. NCB claims it also reveals that he is not a first-time consumer. There are his chats in his history that actually indicate a larger international conspiracy that they keep talking about. They have said all three accused have given statements, and then later they've retracted these statements. So keep in mind the statements that the NCB may have got from Aryan or the others, since they have been retracted and were not recorded otherwise in the court of law, may not hold value. But this is an argument that has been presented by the NCB in court. And of course, they have vehemently said this is not the stage at which bail should be given. Drug dealers who are involved in this case were clearly in touch with the accused. And then, of course, a larger point being made about how the drug menace is impacting the young boys, the college-going boys, and therefore, a strict message needs to be sent, etc. On the other side, what has been the defense from Aryan Khan's counsel? Well, they are pretty much basing it on a very simple thing, that getting bail at this stage in a case like this doesn't mean that you are taking away the right of the Narcotics Control Bureau to continue with their investigation. Aryan Khan isn't going to go underground, run away. He's willing to meet all the conditions required to answer all the questions. The NCB's right to continue investigation doesn't go away. But they believe, and this is the argument made, that Aryan Khan is a person affected by drug menace as per the government. And instead of reforming the client, instead of reforming this youngster, if you pick him up and you put him in prison, how is that going to help? But Aryan's team has been extremely clear that by no stretch of imagination is he involved in any kind of illicit, intentional drug trafficking. That the offenses that he has been charged with, somebody with whom drugs were not found on him, the offenses that he has been charged with are punishable for less than a year. So there should be no issue at granting bail at this stage. The council also went on to say no celebrity enjoys any special status, or star kids for that matter, before the court. They should be treated equally before law. Arrested on October 3rd under bailable charges, and this youngster is still behind bars, even though the Narcotics Control Bureau has not recorded any fresh statements from him except the one that was done on October 4th. So from October 4th to 13th, they haven't really had much to do with him. He just continues to be in jail. And so his lawyer said, let him be a free man, let strict conditions be imposed upon him. This was a simple case update in terms of what is it that the two sides are saying. The fact is that today the court reserved its decision on the bail plea, and considering it's festival season and for the next 5 days there are court holidays, the verdict will now be pronounced on October 20th. Could it just have been done today? Is it really called for to keep him in jail for 6 days? Whether or not he should get bail or not is not for me to decide. We're not questioning the merits of the decision. We're not even advocating that he should be jailed or he should be given bail. That's for the legal experts to tell if they want to. But should the decision have come by now? I say good evening to Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate with the Supreme Court, Justice B.A. Khan, former Chief Justice of Jammu and Kashmir High Court, Rizwan Merchant, Senior Criminal Lawyer, Yashovardhan Azad, former IPS Officer, Sadesh Ratan Nigam, Lawyer with the Supreme Court, joining me this evening. Justice Khan, good evening to you once again. Let me start off by asking you this question that many are asking us today, that when you just have to pronounce a verdict in a bail plea, why wait for 6 more days?
Tanvi, that has been my complaint all along on the working of our system. And I am really opposing that tariq pe tariq system. Something which a judge can do on spot if he has to do some justice. Why prolong? Why give dates? Why give? In fact, common man asks, for example, in this case, Aryan case, if there is an evidence on record which suggests that he has some internal connections, as has been argued by the Additional Solicitor General, now let the judge take cognizance of it and refuse the bail. Why are you taking away his liberty on what? This is not something on which you have to go on researching for 60 days, 6 days. See, Tanvi, bail is a matter of, it involves exercise of judicial discretion. And the exercise of this discretion depends on the judge, what kind of a judge he is. We have categories of judges. For example, some are liberal, some are conservative, some are convicting. Some have their own outlook, some have their own philosophies on issues. Now, all that gets into a judicial order or a judicial decision in a particular case. Now, in this case, I am saying, matter in the court is not for me. I belong to the judiciary. It's not for me to say good or bad of a court functioning. It's also not for me to comment on this and to hold a trial on the media. But I am feeling concerned about certain things. For example, circumstances which should have been taken into consideration or not being taken into consideration. Sensitivity about human liberty, about which we talk about from rooftops. I remember Supreme Court in Arnab Goswami's case propounding a doctrine of liberty in one case only. Now, if a court has to balance the fundamental right of a liberty with the gravity of the offense an accused has committed, it doesn't take years to do it. I mean, you have a fairly constant matter has been going on from 3rd October. Even common man knows its ins and outs of this matter.
Right.
Then why Why are you prolonging an agony? And that reflects on my system, my judicial system. And that is why I'm saying that people are losing faith by this kind of working. Similarly, for example, circumstances which people talk about. For example, some political elements getting into the NCB office, or some political elements dragging these accused. Is that a consideration? That means that there is something wrong with the process of investigation. Now, all these things, if we have an overall consideration of all these things, it's not difficult to pronounce whether this boy deserves to be granted bail or does not deserve to be granted bail.
Mm-hmm.
Bail is not something you have to see that he doesn't flee from justice. These are requirements which we day in and day out practice. You have to see that he is not in a position to influence the witnesses. You have to see that this boy is a young boy. Are we going to ruin his life by keeping him with the criminals for months and days together? Now, all these consider, if we lose sensitivity on this, what are we doing? That means we are disregarding his fundamental right of liberty.
Right.
I'm not saying that the court is wrong in not granting, but I say grant or refuse. What's the problem in that?
Absolutely.
Grant or refuse.
Absolutely.
You are hearing this matter, all these top lawyers of Bombay are arguing the matter and getting into technicalities, whether WhatsApp chat is admissible at this stage or is not admissible stage. You are losing the overall context of the matter. What's the problem? A court has to do justice. And that justice is to give an overall consideration, unbiased, fair consideration to the record before you, to the facts of the case. I don't think that warrants giving dates, tarikh pe tarikh, and you are violating a right of liberty in the process. That's all I have to say. I am not in a position to comment on the court's functioning.
Yes, absolutely, Justice Khan, and I think I would never even ask you to, comment on that. This way or that way, give a decision on the bail plea. If I can take that point and take it across to Sanjay Hegde as well. Mr. Hegde, to further add to this, what are the aspects that a judge looks at the stage of a bail plea, when they have to decide on a bail, not really to decide whether Aryan Khan is guilty of drug consumption, trafficking, distribution, or whatnot?
See, the normal law is bail, not jail. That has been settled by the Supreme Court long ago. However, in actual practice, what happens is bail comes as some kind of special dispensation when the judge feels that the man has suffered enough and that he is totally sterile, he is unlikely to interfere with the investigation, that the investigation is safely concluded, that the witnesses have deposed. There are several reasons that judges in normal matters give. Now, in addition, under the NDPS, there are certain conditions in Section 37. The judge has to be satisfied that the person is not guilty and that he is not likely to commit an offense if granted bail. That is an additional feature that we've built into our drug laws. We tried to liberalize the drug laws in 2001. We made all those distinctions between small quantities, intermediate quantities, and commercial quantities. And a lot of this act is administered at the level of the investigation itself. The investigators know whom to go after, whom not to go after. But there are times when investigators get overzealous. Investigators want trophy accused. And this is a trophy. This particular case. Once this has become a trophy, then the process is the punishment. Every little bit of process that can be administered is being administered. The prosecution is also playing a good game of delay, in the sense that if they knew that the next the prosecution knew, the defense knew that 5 days was a holiday.
Yes.
But the defense could not dare not argue its case in entirety. The prosecution replied in more than entirety. And the judge, after all, takes a call that, look, there's so much argument. I better, when I pass my order, record everything and then finally pass an order. There is a way out, of course. If the defense had said, look, give us interim bail, the prosecution had been gracious and say, okay, for the moment, your lordships, we won't stand in the way of interim bail because of the holidays, but they should be back here in court 5 days later. There are ways.
So you're saying, Mr. Hegde, you're saying, Mr. Hegde, if the prosecution delays appearing in court and delays the presentation of its own arguments and then exhaustively presents the arguments, and then the other side has to present its side, and then you know you're nearing the end of the end of the day and end of the week, and then there are 5 days of holiday, the court, of course, would want to spend time to look into the arguments presented and then give a verdict. So is left with no choice but to put a 5-day gap in between. You would say that you would rather question this delaying strategy of the prosecution.
I would see, the point is, both the prosecution and the defense are lawyers. They know the rules of the game. And within the rules, how much do you stretch? I have been a prosecutor myself. There have been times when if I feel that there is something which is going radically wrong, I have told the court that I leave it to your lordship. And courts do get the message. But when the prosecution signals that, no, we are going to fight tooth and nail and whatever you say may be subject to appeal, then obviously the court will also be careful. Here I'd like to remind the audience of a letter that the late Mr. Nani Palkhiwala wrote to Mr. Soli Sorabji when he became Attorney General. And he told Mr. Sorabji, what you have said about the Attorney General's office, the guardian of public interest and the promoter of human rights, is so true and so little understood. The greatest glory for the Attorney General is not to win cases for the government, but to ensure that justice is done to the people. Today you have the law officer who wanted to get his trophy victim, not give his trophy victim an easy ride. It was stretched out, both sides. And then I don't blame the judge too much for being careful, because after all, Justice Katju used to say something. He used to say, "Aajkal zamana kharab hai," and then he would recuse himself. So judges also need a certain amount of protection.
Okay, let me then bring in Rizwan Merchant on this aspect. Well, lawyers would want to extend, Mr. Merchant, as much of the hearing in the case as possible. It's always good money and good news for them. But in this case, when the common man turns around and asks, hey, is it fair for this young boy to wait another 5 days to find out if he gets out of jail or not, what would you say?
Tanvi, I would share opinion with Sanjay Hegde that so many times when arguments do take place, the lordships, the judge realizes that it's a hard-fought battle by either side. The judges make notes, and on the strength of notes, they are able to deliver their particular finding one way or the other. In so many cases, it does happen that days and days are lost in argument of bail applications. But then when a particular judge feels that, yes, I personally feel it's a case where the accused deserves to be granted bail, a very small and a small order in the form of an observation, like an operative part of the order, is recorded by the learned judge for reasons recorded separately. This is what my finding is. Either I'm enlarging the accused on bail or that I'm rejecting the application for bail. Now, such an operative part of the order is a must for the simple reason that in case if the accused is aggrieved by the order of the court, at least he has an opening of going up to the higher court.
Yes.
Today, those chances of Aryan have been closed down. If tomorrow, on the 20th, if the learned judge decides to grant bail to Aryan, everything is forgotten and forgiven. But in case if he is failed to get bail, if the application for bail is rejected, the defense team is bound to feel that 5 days have been lost. Within these 5 days, we could have prepared for going up to the higher court. We could have mentioned the matter on the reopening day, which is on the 20th, and we could have urged the lordships to give the accused an urgent hearing. So these are issues which our trial courts, more particularly in the Sessions Court and the Magistrates Courts, they should appreciate. In the High Court, it is very, very clear the moment the hearing takes place, the lordships immediately give a dictation so you know where you stand, either you're in or you're out. This is an approach which needs to be adopted generally in all bail applications. Now, coming to the case of Aryan, the marathon hearing which went on for 2 days, the learned judge, after having heard both the sides, may be wanting to make his order in such a manner as is expected by the Honorable Supreme Court. Supreme Court says we don't appreciate cryptic bail orders. We would like bail orders to be supported with reasons. And more particularly because this case is in public glare, in media glare for a very long time. Plus, the rigor of 37, as Sanjay Hegde rightly said, that you need to overcome the rigor of 37. The learned judge is required to give a finding prima facie that the accused is not guilty of the offence and is not likely to commit any other offence. Now, this finding can be possible only after he applies his mind to the submissions which have been made by the accused as well as the submissions made by the learned prosecutor, which possibly he may not have been able to make up his mind at the end of the hearing. But nonetheless, we always we expect that the findings should be immediate, the findings should be quick, it should be expedited so we know where we stand. But ultimately, the master of ceremonies of the court is the learned judge who is sitting out there. It's his prerogative. We definitely expect that he should exercise his discretion immediately, one way or the other. But sometimes the judges feel that, no, it is my prerogative. I have to study a bit more. I may have to do a little bit of research more. He may apply his mind to the submissions of either side, but may want to conduct his own research on his own. And he may feel that, no, I need to apply my own mind apart from what has been conveyed to me. So it's ultimately the prerogative of the judge which prevails. And I think we should allow the learned judge to exercise his prerogative and his discretion. 5 days are holidays. I do appreciate it's a sting.
Yes. Now, here we are. And the interesting aspect is, Mr. Merchant, that what I see is a retired justice who has a harsher view of this Tariq pe Tariq system in this case and an overall basis, and 2 senior lawyers here with me who've spoken so far with a harsher view of the strategy that the lawyers have taken, not so much of the way the judge has handled this. It's very interesting to see that. Let me find out.
I'm in full agreement.
Yes.
I'm in full agreement with Justice Khan.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with His Lordship Justice Khan. In trial courts, it definitely happens. In sessions courts, in heavy trials, it definitely happens. Tariq pe Tariq, Tariq pe Tariq. Either the prosecution is responsible for delaying the bringing of the witness, or the witnesses are not available, or the documents are not available, or the documents are not eligible, or the articles which are required at the time of the trial are not available. It definitely happens, but not in every trial. In certain sensational trials, yes, definitely. When the prosecution's intention is to incarcerate the accused in custody, there is Tariq pe Tariq, Tariq pe Tariq. I definitely agree with His Lordship Justice Khan.
Well, if this isn't a sensational case, then what is? And we live in such times to see how it plays out now. But let me ask Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, where does he stand on this debate? If it is, how do you explain this to many who are asking, does this young boy have to wait 5 days to find out if he's getting bail or not?
I'm extremely glad that this Tariq pe Tariq issue is now coming up for a wider debate, because there are thousands and lakhs of people who are suffering in jails as under trials, whose cases are continuing like this. Now, in a battery of legal luminaries, perhaps I'm the only cop. So let me give my take on this particular issue. Well, the lawyer's game has been going on for a long, long time, and even the police sometimes arrests on a Saturday night, and when Sunday they don't have to put up people in the court. So this game, irrespective of the people, goes on, and the lawyers on both sides have their own games to play. I can't comment on that because you have excellent people here. As far as Aryan Khan case is concerned, let me tell you that the debate is now, it's really polarized. That here is a man who didn't have any thing with him, and here is a man who should have got bail, 40 days back. I disagree with both, and I feel the law and the investigative agencies have full right to take the due course. It's not necessary for these kind of cases where a celebrity does not carry his own baggage. A VIP, have you seen carrying his own suitcase? No. So in this particular case, which has a brush with kind of an international drug conspiracy, where the friends are carrying something, where a celebrity has been invited for a particular thing, the arrest of NCB by the NCB is a very legitimate thing. And what the NCB is telling the court, which I have come to the germane part of your debate, is what the NCB is telling the court is that, see, here is somebody we expect that he is in touch with the peddlers or the financiers or the suppliers, etc. That is being unfolded through these chats. In fact, if you see, none of the financiers or none of the great guys are caught with anything on them. It's only after the investigation that the things come up. So if the honorable judge is taking time, I don't have any comment on that. And this game of 5 days can be best known only to the lawyers.
Well, 5 days of holiday, so no other choice but to wait until the courts reopen and this case gets a date. But Mr. Deshratan Nigam, why is it a conversation point tonight? It's also because people have been hearing this argument being made in court repeatedly over this, through the course of this week, that they didn't find any drugs on Aryan Khan, that they haven't recorded any further statements from Aryan Khan since the 4th of October. Now, why would you say, oppose bail to a man who you haven't questioned since the past 10 days?
I'm getting forward from where issue left. About international conspiracy with drug peddlers, the transmitters, and things like that.
Mr. Nigam, I think we have the same problem with you tonight as we did yesterday. We're going to try and fix that so I can hear you better. But let me just very quickly, meanwhile, take our viewers through the key things that the NCB has said. Their reasons for also opposing bail says that the investigation is still at a preliminary stage, so which is why this can't be the stage of giving bail to Aryan and to the others. That bail, NCB of course believes, should be granted only as a special case in rarest of rare, that these two, Aryan and Arbaz, were in constant touch with peddler Achit Kumar. In fact, that's their link that was first established, that these are the guys who led the NCB to this peddler Achit, which is why more investigation is required to speak to all sides, to find out more details, to actually look at the entire network that exists. Now remember, I just want to highlight this very simple fact, and this is what is repeatedly told to us even by several senior officials, former NCB directors who've been on the show, that the idea for NCB, when they start from the end of the chain, when they start from the consumer of the drug, is actually to trace back all of the steps until they reach the starting point, which would be that one big guy who is actually smuggling in these drugs and selling them through the intermediaries to these young end consumers. So the NCB has to reach that point. Let me see if I can go back to Mr. Nigam. Okay, we're going to fix that line. But Sanjay Hegde, if that's the part, then does this argument hold that what more do you need from this guy? You've already questioned him, because the NCB says we have to trace back this entire chain and that will take time.
Well, you remember that the NCB said all these similar things when they went after Riya Chakravarti, Deepika Padukone, this one, that one, and everybody in Bollywood. Have they made any major arrests of any big suppliers? Have they broken any particular gang of drug peddlers? The NCB can say a lot of things, but you see, one other thing which troubles me a bit is that the NCB officer in this case, Mr. Wankhede, he has his wife is also in the film industry. Her name is Kranti Redekar or something of that kind. There, at the very least, appears to me to be a little bit of a conflict of interests. Is it that the officer particularly likes Bollywood for his attentions? And after having done so much in Riya Chakravarti, which Justice Khan might well agree was a case of Khoda Pahad Nikli Chuya. Now they've started another bit of much ado about nothing. At the end of the day, there is some 40 grams which has been recovered from various people who were on that ship. Among the people you took into detention immediately, you let off a few people. Probably they had nothing. Then if you let them off because they had nothing, this boy also had nothing. But you needed to throw the full book.
Mm-hmm.
You needed to show him the full procedure, and you needed to show not only his father, but you needed to show the people at large that, look, even if he is so-and-so's son and he can be arrested and subject to that kind of procedure, you people better watch out if you step out of line or if your kids step out of line. That also seems to be part of the game. But we are going much, you set the tone of the debate saying that we will not speculate. For the moment, we will not speculate. But I do think that if the matter finally goes to trial and there is a charge sheet and all that, the nature of the investigating officer's interest will also come into question. There is something, there is in American law at least, a term called prosecutorial malevolence. This would be something worth investigating on the defense side.
Well, especially in a case now, like Justice Khan was also, referring to initially, in a case where the independent witnesses themselves have become, a big controversy, where their credibility has also come under question, where the action of the NCB officials at that time, even when the raid was being conducted, and subsequently, also there is a big question mark on this, and that, of course, I'm sure Aryan Khan's team or any other accused's legal team is going to use. But we'll see when it comes to that and how it plays on in court. Mr. Nigam, I believe, is back with us, and hopefully we can hear him better this time.
Tanvi, I was trying to take it forward where Mr. Yashowardhan Azad left. And that is where he talked about international conspiracy. And that's a very serious issue. Procurement and, nothing being discovered or, seized from these people becomes secondary. And 2-3 days back, the news had also come that the NDPS investigative officer was being spied upon and tailed also and followed also. And that was a very serious issue. So today what we are looking at, whether the release of this person will, affect the evidence, or will the person tamper with the evidence or influence witnesses? Everybody knows his father is very influential. Apart from the rigors, as other panelists talked about, of Section 37 of NDPS Act, where there has to be prima facie reasonable ground for the judge to see in order to grant bail that he is not guilty and there is no likelihood of committing the offense again. So the issue out here today is that both the lawyers on both the sides took their respective times and lengthy arguments were addressed. Mm-hmm. And now you have 5 days holidays. And judge has to, apply, especially in terms of Section 37 and other rigors of the CRPC when you're granting the bail, whether he should be granted bail or not.
But Mr. Nigam, when you point out the fact that his father, especially since his father is so influential, his father continues to be influential irrespective of whether Aryan is going to be in jail or not. And now, as more and more we are learning, irrespective of whether you are in jail or not, if you have the power, you can destroy evidence, intimidate witnesses, hatch conspiracies, carry out assassinations while you are in jail. So, does that still become part of the argument?
See, what you are saying is a problem with the prison system, as we discussed yesterday. But that cannot be a ground, ignoring everything else, to set a person free on bail and to allow that person, not talking about this particular case,
yes,
and allow that person to do whatever he wants from outside, being in complete freedom. And therefore the two are incomparable situations. One is a problem with the prison to have, is whether a bail should be granted in this particular case or not.
Okay.
Yes, a judge requires to apply his mind to, if he wants to grant a bail, to come out of the rigors of Section 37, which is very, very important. And in this case, and I think a judge could have pronounced the case tomorrow if there were no holidays. So you have to give it to the judge that he doesn't want to go wrong. He wants, to his best abilities and capacity, to pass a very reasonable judgment so far as bail is concerned. I think we must wait. He has been there for under judicial custody. He is not under police custody. Please remember that.
Yes.
He is under judicial custody, and therefore the sending in judicial custody itself, he is prevented from doing whatever the rigors of CRPC for not granting bail, which is there. It is not for questioning or the investigation that the police needs. So 14 days judicial custody is only for that purpose. Here on, we have to see whether the judge decides that this person is not a threat to witnesses, will not tamper evidence, and also the two rigors as we talked about under Section 37.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to a point that many of you made on this panel tonight and have actually repeatedly been raised on our conversations about bail orders. Justice Khan, what is your view on the fact that, it is often said that when it comes to lower courts, there is still a great amount of hesitation to follow the norm of bail and not jail. And often the discussion boils down to, okay, take a decision, reject the bail, and then at least somebody has the chance to go to a higher court and then seek relief there.
Yeah, Tanvi, we have been facing this problem for quite some time. I remember I was at Delhi High Court, and these media hype in certain cases, our judicial officers in cases where there was a merit to grant bail would refuse or dodge. This problem was brought to our notice, and we tried to overcome this because he is the judicial officer, judicial magistrate at his level. In such cases, he feels scared that if I grant bail, I might be accused of this thing. If I refuse bail, then there might be this consequence. So these circumstances intervene in such matters. That's why we have been always saying, and Mr. Merchant said that in lower courts it happens. I know in lower courts it happens. I have been a witness to that. It happens, and we have been trying to rectify the situation. But Tanvi, this is a matter which is dependent on a judge's outlook, judge's temperament, his judicial approach, which is unfortunately lacking. In most of the cases, 90% cases, we are lacking a judicial approach. We don't know how to do justice. We go into the letter of law. I was looking into the arguments of this case, in which it was argued that there was no seizure of phone. Therefore, any WhatsApp chat cannot be taken into consideration. Look here, on that, an argument goes for 1 day. And nobody looks into it. What is the total, if you balance it? How are you affecting the liberty of a person? What is the gravity of the offense? How this boy is going to separate this menace of drugs in Bombay? How is he going to tamper evidence? All those issues which are relevant legally are totally ignored. Nor is anybody giving, no, I don't know whether the court has any consideration. You bring in charges in installments. So 1 week you say this, another week you say international connection, then third week you will say something. This only prolongs the agony. Now, responding to Mr. Merchant that it wants, Mr. Nigam also said that he wants to take time. Mr. Nigam, this is not a rocket science. And in Bombay functioning of courts, it is well known that on the spot decisions are given, on the spot orders are passed. And if a court has been hearing a matter for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, he's applying his mind all through. It's not he doesn't need a holiday application of his mind. Now, if there was any sensitive about it, as he was suggesting, Mr. Merchant, then he could have said, I refuse the bail, reasons will follow, matter ends. Or I grant the bail, reasons will follow. The affected person, the accused, would have come to know his fate. So would have the NCB. So the functioning is, it calls for a lot of reform. We have been debating that reform, but a human element is involved. We can't help it. It goes this way or it goes that way. In one case, if it is somebody's case, you propound a doctrine of liberty. In the other case, if it is other Kerala journalist case, then you don't allow him even on his mother's death. If it is that, who is that, their father who wanted a straw for this thing because he was not shivering all the time, he was not granted a straw.
Yes.
Can you imagine what is justice about? And are we doing justice? Or are we playing on the technicalities because of our own interests? If judge feels scared, he is not worth his salt. If he feels scared by granting bail or refusing bail, he'll be accused of in a high-fi case of something. He doesn't deserve to be a judge.
Okay. Justice
These
Khan.
are problems of our system.
Can I
Yes.
come in?
Justice Khan, you're candid as always, and perhaps, as one of their peers, you can afford to be this candid. I'm not too sure if lawyers want to get there, but I'm going to ask each one of them to respond to what you're saying. Yes. Let me first start
I'm
off
not
with
going-
Deshratan
I'm
Nigam,
just-
then Sanjay Hegde.
Only one minute.
Yes.
One addition. I am not going into the merit of case.
Yes.
I am conscious of a media trial. I am conscious of respecting a court's functioning. That
Absolutely.
is why I
Thank you.
don't know
Yes.
the merit before, what is the record before, why is he doing this, why is he not doing this. It is his prerogative. But I am saying that I am on the receiving end. Please tell me whether I deserve bail or I don't deserve bail. Why are you giving me dates from 3rd October? That's all I am saying.
Okay, yes. Let's give the lawyers a chance to respond one by one. Deshratan Nigam first and then Sanjay Hegde. Yes.
Let me make it, crystal clear, Tanvi, that first the lawyers for the defense went to the wrong court.
Yes.
And then and that's one of the reasons for the delay. They went to the magistrate's court and not the special
They lost
court,
one
which is there.
entire weekend because they went to the wrong court.
So contributory negligence on the part of the lawyers, and therefore I'm very clear that things could have been at least preponed by a week. And secondly, the law, NDPS is treated differently from the offences under the IPC. And the Supreme Court, in a matter, in fact, which was also cited by the prosecution, Bharat Thakur versus State of Maharashtra, where it says under the NDPS matters, bail has to be in rarest of rare cases and only be given in special cases. So they have carved out a difference from the ordinary offences or the other offences under the IPC. Therefore, judge needs to apply his mind more carefully as compared to the offences under the IPC. And that is why, and even otherwise I have said so, that if it was not a holiday tomorrow, probably the judge could have delivered. But since there are holidays and the matter, the arguments ended today evening, therefore I think a judge should be given at least this much of space that he should apply his mind and then pass a judgment, whichever way it has to be.
Okay, Sanjay Hegde wanted to come in as well.
See, I do agree with Justice Khan that there could have been either grant or rejection of bail, but the option of saying that reasons to follow does not necessarily exist with the judges of the first instance, because the appellate courts have frowned on such a practice. So the higher courts have said that how do we deal with it in appeal? We need to know the reasons, and it goes into another merry circle. That is why I said that these are cases, and particularly where even interim bail could have been considered, especially in view of the holidays, upon undertakings, upon very strict rules. The people could have been present in court after the holidays, and they could have been taken back.
But Mr. Hegde, sorry if I sound a little ignorant here, but for a judge to consider that, shouldn't somebody have had to ask for it?
Well, nobody asked for it. That is correct. Everybody went on arguing their part of the case, and then the clock ran out. On a slightly unconnected note, I was in the Supreme Court where a judge was entirely against me, and he was about to dictate a judgment. I just looked back at the clock and the clock was going. And I told the judge that, look, if I in boxing, the rule is that if I'm on my feet when the gong goes, then I'm not knocked out. It was Justice Kirpal. He had a huge laugh. And then the matter was adjourned for about 3 or 4 days thereafter because the weekend intervened. And the next day, when I began, I managed to turn the court in my favor. So we lawyers also sometimes bat from session to session. We take fresh guard, and many lawyers make mistakes. One of the most prominent mistakes of this kind was the late Zulfikar Ali Khan Bhutto, who insisted on arguing his own case before the Pakistan Supreme Court. And there was a judge who was in his favor, who then retired. And then he ended up being hanged by a 3-2 verdict. These are all courtroom stories which, since there are so many lawyers on this panel, I think they would
Yes.
appreciate
May I correct you? May I correct Sanjay? It was Naseem Hasan Shah. He was the former Chief Justice of Pakistan person. He has died. He was an ad hoc judge appointed in the Pakistan Supreme Court. And General Zia sent him a word that if you sign on the dotted line, I'll make you permanent. If you don't, then you'll be out. He signed on the dotted line, and it was because of his that Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was executed. And then he made a confession in his book saying that I committed this sin and I should not have, he deserved a lighter punishment. So therefore judges are there to err, they are human beings after all.
Yes, well, if I would want to sensationalize this, I would say tonight on the urban debate, lawyers admit they can make mistakes and judges too. But at this point, let me also say good evening to Mr. B.V. Kumar, former DG of NCB, who is also joining us. At the heart of this entire conversation, Mr. B.V. Kumar, is the NDPS Act itself. And the whole debate of whether, because the NDPS Act is different from the other laws in our country, if it merits giving additional 5 days for a judge to decide on a bail order, when it's just about the pronouncement of the order. The hearings have, the arguments have concluded. Where do you stand on what's happened today, and if Aryan and others deserve to wait for 5 more days to find out about their fate?
The case of NDPS Act, as pointed out by the learned lawyers, Section 439 of the Criminal Procedure Code cannot the NDPS Act provisions override the provisions of the Section 439 of the CRPC. So bail cannot be granted as a matter of routine. That's the first part. The second part is whether in this case whether bail could be granted based upon the WhatsApp evidence that has been placed before the Honorable Court. Now, as somebody observed, one of the legal luminaries said that WhatsApp evidence is not valid in evidence as observed by the present learned Chief Justice of India. But according to me, there was a decision of the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Anwar PV versus PK Bashir, where it dated 18th September 2014. In this case, Chief Justice of India, Mr. Kurian Joseph, along with Rohington Nariman, very clearly laid out if the provisions of Section 65 capital A and 65 capital B of the Indian Evidence Act are satisfied, and the safeguards given therein are implemented, and then the evidence is valid in law. This judgment was once again reiterated by Justice Rohington Mr. Justice Rohington Nariman last year in another decision, where he not only approved the earlier decision of Chief Justice Kurian Joseph, but he also expanded the scope of the decision, saying that if the person who maintains the accounts or electronic media or any such evidence, including mobile phones or desktops or laptops and other things, then his statement, if it is recorded saying that what it contains, the electronic media contains the evidence or the accounts maintained by him or any other WhatsApp chats or any such thing, is maintainable in law. So the law is very strict and well laid down as far as the evidence retrieved from the electronic media is concerned. Only thing is, I only hope whether the Narcotics Control Bureau have taken the safeguards that have been prescribed and whether the forensic scientists have done their job properly or not. And that is what is required to be seen by the honorable judge, and he has to evaluate whether any real case emerges out of this WhatsApp evidence. It's not for us to debate in the electronic media or in the television channels whether it's valid or not valid. It's for the honorable judge to evaluate and find out whether prima facie there's a case against Aryan Khan, or otherwise it is for him to let him off on bail on strict conditions, whatever he may think fit. That is the position. And in this case, the other argument that's being put forward is nothing has been found on the person. And as I was mentioning in quite for some time now, that a VIP does not carry his own baggage. A minister doesn't carry his suitcase. Somebody else carries his baggage. And if something else is found, you cannot say that person who was carrying was guilty. He was carrying for the minister. So minister is equally guilty. Similarly, in a murder case, if somebody gets another person murdered, you cannot say that he was not the person who has killed the victim. It's the person who has made another person kill the person. So these are the various nuances of law involved in all these cases. So it's a very strict law. The burden of proof is on the accused, and also the provisions are, and the culpable mental state also is very much involved.
Yes, well,
So
I
these
must,
are the
and
various-
I cannot emphasize enough on the fact that none of our panelists here, definitely not me, are here to comment on the merits of the case and what the judge should do by the end of it. But what does the law say? How tough is the law? What are the various aspects that the legal teams as well as the judiciary itself will look into is why I have this panel of experts with me tonight. Mr. Azad, you wanted to make a point. Go ahead, please.
I just wanted to say that people are so concerned about the freedom and incarceration of Aryan Khan. Why can't we bypass procedures? If the hearing has been done from both sides by the lawyers, and if it's all just left to the honorable judge to give his judgment, why can't he pronounce it on a holiday and get it done over with? Why are we so obsessed with procedures and rules and legalities and everything? I mean, it can be done anywhere. I mean, nowhere in the world the judges have these, 2 months holidays. It was because the British wanted to go back to London. That's why they used to have these 2 months holidays. Why don't they work? They should just have 12 casual days leave a year and give the judgments on a holiday and get it over with.
But if you do it for one person, Rizwan Merchant, then you'll have to justify doing it for all the many hundreds and thousands of under trials who are still in jail. Rizwan Merchant, will that start a dangerous precedent?
Tanvi, coming to the facts of the present case, I personally feel on day one, when NCB made a particular bold statement before the learned remand court, that what is being brought against Aryan before the court is a bailable offence. Unfortunately, the principle of bail and no jail was driven to the winds. The learned magistrate who was in charge of that particular remand, he himself should have realized that he was bound by the judgment of the Supreme Court in Rasik Lal's case, that when a bailable offence is disclosed in the remand application, it is his fundamental duty to convey to the court, to convey to the accused, that you have a right of being enlarged on bail and I am enlarging you on bail. At that particular point of time, if the counsels had insisted that Rasik Lal's case needs application in the facts of the present case, even if it is the case under the NDPS Act, on that day he was charged only with section 27, which is consumption, which is a bailable offence. Today Aryan would have been on bail. Unfortunately, those things have already passed. 2 days of time was given away for investigation, as NCB had done in Riya Chakravarti's case of seeking 2 days custody for the purpose of investigation. Despite having disclosed that Riya was being charged with a bailable offence, they got away with those 2 days, came back after 2 days with a charge of 27 capital A, saying that now he has committed a non-bailable offence. The same tricks are being used by NCB in the instant case, and unfortunately they got through it. As far as the issue of bail today is concerned, I definitely agree that yes, the learned magistrate, learned judge should be given his time for passing an order of bail after applying his mind. But also remember one thing, this is one of those cases where the court has been presiding in its court beyond 5 p.m., beyond 6 p.m., in a given case at 7 p.m. So if this hearing was over by about 5:30, the learned judge could have definitely attributed at least about an hour, hour and a half or two, and given a finding one way or the other. Even if it was a case of no bail, at least it would have given an option to the defense team of Aryan to prepare to go to the High Court for seeking bail. Or if he was enlarged on bail, at least the boy could have been out today. This is something it's not that it could not have been attended to. It could have been attended to. There was a window to make available an opportunity for giving an order of either bail or no bail. But unfortunately, this was it just lost sight. That's what all that I can say.
Yes, well, and I think that at this point it's easy for us to analyze it minute by minute, threadbare in hindsight. At that point, decisions are taken based on the arguments that are presented and what is sought and what is not sought in some cases as well. Sanjay Hegde, you wanted to add earlier to what Yashowardhan Azad was saying?
Well, no, I think Mr. Azad wanted to say something else, so I'll yield it to him.
His question, Mr. Azad's question was that why couldn't the verdict have been given on a holiday? Do we really have to follow rules to the book to that extent?
Well, I'm sure that orders are passed on holidays.
Yeah.
But if an order was passed in Aryan Khan's case on a holiday, then people would have misread it. I think the judge is playing safe.
Thank you for not saying that the same media would have come after them yelling, blue murder and red murder to say, how can you give this VVIP treatment to Aryan Khan? But I get the point that you're making. It's been a pleasure to have all of you gentlemen here, with your insights and with the examples that you've given on this conversation. Thank you so much for joining with me. Well, we have to wait and watch. And we're not going to speculate. You heard the experts say there is merit to the fact that the judge would want to take this time to go over all the arguments that have been presented and then give his verdict. That's what the lawyers have to say. But you also heard from the retired Chief Justice of Jammu and Kashmir High Court, Justice Khan, tell you that we also have to come over this entire mindset and system of giving tariq pe tariq. And a judge who's been hearing a case on a daily basis pretty much already knows what the arguments have been and shouldn't take that much time to give the order. It's a larger question, viewers, that we're asking without really getting into the merits of this specific case. That's for the current judge to look at and come up with a bail order come October 20th. Thank you so much for joining us.